So if you're like most organizations that we have a chance to talk to, you probably feel really confident, perhaps overly confident, that you have the right protections in place come your renewal, right? So if you're a cloud customer, whether it's SaaS or any of the various forms, Salesforce, Workday, SuccessFactors, ServiceNow, Microsoft, SAP, Oracle, the list goes on. You have a renewal coming up. And most likely, you or your procurement department have told you, hey, don't worry about it. We have protections in place. Our increases are capped, whether that's the standard language like Salesforce, or it's just something you've negotiated last time. And for the most part, based upon what we hear and we learn through working with organizations, is the fact of the matter is you may have a protection, but the conditions, the terms, the fine print that's associated with it has actually diminished that protection, and in some regards has removed it. So let me give you some examples so you can go look to check if you actually have price certainty come renewal time. The first one is there's an expectation when you renew, in order to get that price protection, that cap on an increase, you have to renew the exact, that's a key word, set of products and the exact same amount of quantity or more. So why is that problematic? Well, let's say that at renewal, you don't actually need all of your products. You have to renew all of them, even at a quantity of 1, to be able to maintain that protection. But here's the rub. Quantity of 1 still isn't going to be good enough. Like I said before, it's the quantity and it's the product. So effectively, you have to renew even if you know you don't actually need certain products. That's a problem, and if you don't have the capability to do that, if that doesn't meet your actual requirements, in order for you to get that protection, you will effectively be going to have to renew air. The other part to it is this. If you've determined that you don't need the bundle, let's say, you don't need all the features of the bundle. So if you're a Microsoft customer, let's say you've gone on ECS, which is now Microsoft 365, and you no longer need E5. Let's say E3 was more appropriate. That's problematic because the renewal protection that you probably put in place is only for E5. So again, you don't actually have a price assurance on E3 built into your contract. You should have, but you probably don't. The other thing that often happens when you talk about the conditions that be put in place, it's the idea that it's all products, right? And that's a key nuance. You may be looking at it and saying, hey, I did a pilot about 3 months ago before the renewal, and it was for 10 licenses or subscriptions of a particular product. Guess what? In order to get that renewal protection on the whole, you actually have to renew, again, everything. That includes the products that are part of your pilot. Why that matters? Because you lose leverage. Effectively, you are going to continue to have to renew if you want the larger protection. The last thing I would say you have to look into is whether or not there is a component of this deal that's going to require you to actually maintain a certain dollar spend. That's right. Sometimes if you read the fine print, it actually says you have to maintain the committed or annual prior spend or revenue or fees associated with that order form. Again, that's problematic, right? They're locking into what's called the annual run rate, and they're navigating around that, not caring about your actual requirements. So these are just a few of the conditions that I highly recommend you pay attention to, because if these conditions are in your contract, you don't really have a true renewal term protection, or at least not what you should have.